So
Yeah. Yo,
yes, so I'm back. I'm back. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have
motherfucker,
left you.
but it wasn't like as if you didn't leave motherfuckers with a dope beat to step to, because I was here the whole goddamn time, every time,
Yeah, I mean, Papo
hammer
coming through with
time.
the dope beats, because somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it because I can't always motherfucking do it.
Yo,
But
this whole time, have you been playing Goat Simulator or some shit?
yo, it's actually hilarious because I know we're PSN friends, and so you get all those trophies that you see from Goat Similar. I still actually haven't played that game. That's the most confusing. I watched the boys play that game, and not only does it not make sense to me, I have developed a theory about Goat Simulator and how that game was created in error.
Like they
I
just
I
go
think
on.
how like how you got to create like the physics engine,
Yeah.
for a game, and then once you create the physics engine, you could build the game. I'm under the impression that whoever came up with Goat Simulator was trying to create some game. Their physics engine broke, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just put like goats in it," and then that game plays like something where the physics engine is broke on it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
makes no sense.
because I think, and if the reason why kids definitely fucking like it is, like you said there, the physics. You could literally jump off a fucking building, go splat, and you get points for how asinine the death was or whatever. But answer me this, because I saw, and again, because I don't know if you know that you can make requests to watch people play. So I actually saw the
Bro.
boys were playing, and
Yeah.
I saw the Goat Simulator Payday edition pop up, and they've
Oh.
been wanting that, but I missed out during Christmas. They had a big ass sale where all the DLC was like $4. Normally it's like
Mm.
10 or 15, and we bought a few of them. But I didn't get payday because I'm thinking, well, I ain't gonna play it, so I'm not gonna let them fucking play it. So then when I saw that it popped up on yours, I'm like, either Verse is playing or he's letting his boys just ball out and do whatever they want. He don't fucking know the credit card's stuck on file and they're buying all this DLC.
No, so because we got the PS4 during Christmas, and we did get payday in those levels during Christmas. So I didn't even know that that's like was the deal for them. It was just like, oh, these levels are $5. So yeah, I bought payday.
Oh, so you got them on sale then? Good man. Good.
Yeah, so I got them on sale, and then because I think they got all the levels except one of them.
Yo, we
I
got
can't
all of
remember
them
which one.
except for Payday and some Star Wars one. They don't even seem like Star Wars. It's just space.
They got the space one, and they got payday. It's one other one, and
There's
I told
a
them
there's a zombie one,
the zombie one. I think
bro.
that's the one because
So
I keep them away from zombie stuff.
legit. I feel like that game. It was just an engine they used for something else. There's a motherfucking side project, and figure maybe someone will pay for this. And it hit, and then you know what's even more messed up? The Nintendo Switch, which obviously came out after all the most recent, Xbox and PlayStations. And so when they re-release these games, they hit you back with another $60 ticket because they know kids love this shit. They watch it on the YouTubes, and of course DLC. Come on, $10. What's $10? And the kid don't know if it's fucking numbers, so of course, what's $10? And the credit card's
Exactly.
already on file. Bam! That's how they get you.
Exactly.
Anyways, I sent a request out, and I didn't know if that was gonna seem creepy or not. And then the boys were just staring at the fucking request. I'm like, bro, they're not gonna. If the kids are playing, they're not gonna fucking know and click on that shit and try to invite you. They don't know you, right? And
That's
then,
hilarious.
so I don't know if you saw the pop up and wondered what the hell is this? Papa trying to watch us play, but
No, I didn't even see that. So
oh,
no, I'm
okay,
had to ask them about that because they do know you by Papo.
okay.
So that's funny though. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because no, yeah, I'm gonna have to ask them
Because if
because I
you
didn't
didn't
know
do
that.
it, then they must have sent me, or maybe I sent a request because I think I got one from Fortnite, and
Yes, I think they added you on Fort because they've been adding people because they're Kai's best friend. Darren he comes by like once a week or whatever, and then they added each other on Fortnite, and then Kai's been adding other people from Fortnite or whatnot. And so yeah, so yeah,
yo,
I can't remember. I can't
we gonna have to
remember,
do a
but
little let's play, man. We both got the technology and the systems, man. There ain't no excuse.
yo, and I done played Fortnite maybe 2 times. I absolutely suck at it. I suck at all like the shooting games where you got to aim and shoot. I suck at them.
Yeah, you gotta be on
Suck
some
at
precise
them.
shit. I feel you. I
But
usually just
I did see they have the creative mode or
yeah,
whatever it is where you're not actually fighting people. And
just
so I was
design
like,
shit.
yeah, I was like, maybe I need to play that for a while so I can get my aim and work on my all that goodness or whatever. But yeah. So
Bro, one of the things, just to get off this geeky shit, Xbox, they just allowed the ability to use a good old keyboard and mouse. And, people who are, what do they call, PC master racers, they're all about the precision with my mouse and keyboard. And to be honest with you, I can't do it. It's uncomfortable to me. But I guess when it comes down to that aim game, apparently that's the shit to do. I don't know.
yeah.
I can't call it. So I feel like that shit should be illegal. If you playing like crossplay has been a big deal lately, especially because PlayStation they the biggest dick of them all right now. This current generation,
Yeah.
they got it unlocked. Switch is coming up, and I think they might have surpassed Xbox. But for the most part, they king shit, so they don't give a fuck about crossplay. Nintendo and Microsoft, they tried partnering up together to bring Fortnite together and games like Rocket League and shit like that. But because PlayStation don't really need to, they can give a fuck, and they finally introduced it. But the one caveat or the one problem I see with all the crossplay functionality is someone on a computer who spent probably 5 to 6 G's on this fucking rig. You can't tell me they don't have the resolution and the fucking GPU to make sure that fucking 60 frames per second don't skip a beat.
Yeah. I know. And those gaming, computer gaming things, yeah, they serious about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of like letting steroids in baseball and all that. That's kind of unfair, man. Like, nah, let them play with themselves.
Unless everyone's doing it, because please believe, if we can have NFL blitz, happen in real life, or MLB blitz, and this every motherfucker's a yacked out Sammy Sosa, and they just fucking swinging shit all over the park, and it's on fire when you see it fucking, swing over it. I don't know. I would like to see that, and I'm not a sports fan, but I want that shit. Speaking of which, where the fuck have you been at, Verse? This is I know you wasn't playing video games.
I know, Mister. I've been on a motherfucking hiatus. So 2 weeks ago,
Haitian, huh?
What's up?
You Haitian? Oh no, hiatus.
I know.
Okay, that means you've been gone. Okay, my bad.
No, so mom's is staying with me, and so 2 weeks ago she had surgery on her big toe where they had to fuse it with one of the other toes.
What?
So
they had a Weber feet?
Yeah, they had to fuse two of them together because some issue that she was having with her foot. So so she had surgery like 2 weeks ago. And then so I've been helping her, and then also work has been a motherfucking mess. Oh my God, have I been working 50 to 60 hours a week and I'm still behind. So
I get pissed when I do 15 minutes over.
Bro. So now, so it used to be because I go in at 8, and then typically when things are steady, I get out between 4:30. Mm-hmm. Past several weeks, few weeks or whatever, I'm in the office until like 7 p.m. I'm getting in at 8 a.m. I'm in the office till about 7 p.m. And I'm still like, I never leave the day caught up. It's been that rough. And then even that's what, you hit me up last night and was like, yo, we doing a show tomorrow? And I went to work yesterday. So yesterday, Kai's in his basketball league. He played his game or whatever. After we got done with I think the game ended at like 12:30 or something. And then I went into work. I could work from home because I got a laptop or whatever, but it's a lot of distractions or whatever. So I went into the office. I was in the office from 1 to like 7 p.m. And it's on a Saturday. So I don't know what time, at some point I was the only person left in the building, and so the lights auto shut off, and so I'm sitting there at work in the dark still working because shit is real right now. So that's where I've been. One of those weekends, I can't remember which one I missed because I had to work that day, and then the other weekend I burned out. I woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I got up, I ate something. After I ate something, I sat down. Before I knew it, it was 1:30 p.m. I was like, I done fell back asleep. Burned out.
Well, bro, like,
but we back.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man, you be having to be chained to a desk and a keyboard, or even then just having to punching the key. Like the last thing you want to do is look at the motherfucking camera and keep talking. You know what I'm saying? And that's me being once again the call center shits. So I feel you.
And it's hilarious because I was telling Skips. So you've seen the movies. It's normally it's normally like in a romantic comedy setting, but we've all seen the movies where you have the person who they work that corporate job, and they're always at work and stressed or whatever, and they're trying to close that Johnson account and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then, before the movie's over, they finally realize that this corporate life isn't for them or whatever, and then they end up quitting the job and then eating ice cream and finding love and happiness or whatever. So that's what I go through at work, except the love, happiness, all the rest of that stuff at the end. Like, it's just the stress of trying to close out the Johnson accounts and all that. And so I'm definitely living one of those romantic comedy movies without the romantic comedy.
Well, if anything, it's definitely a comedy. It's a Greek comedy where it's fucking tragic because of the goddamn responsibilities.
It's one of those dark comedies where someone commits suicide in the end. It's one of those.
Lord forbid. Because matter of factly, and again, I'm not speaking nothing. I'm knocking on a wood table, make sure this shit don't happen for those that are, what I'm saying, are what's the word? Not religious, but superstitious. There you go. And this kind of, again, history have a way of repeating itself. You in the same similar situation, matter of factly, at the same goddamn place, God bless it, and again, you were hitting these stress levels. So do you think, because again, before we thought it was a mixture of medications and whatnot, is there something keeping you stable on that point, or is it just the sheer fact that because you're on that, that on that good tip, that the worry no longer fucking avalanches over you, and it's just a matter of getting shit done?
So I think now I'm in a better place because mental health issues, still all that still around or whatever, but I'm in a better place now for a couple reasons, because Skips did crack that joke. She was like, this is kind of 2015 all over. But the difference is, so I was telling her how, back then, remember the doctor put me on the antidepressants or whatever. So I was on those, and one of the things that I realized, and that's why I think I'm more of a proponent now of don't use antidepressants, don't use the big pharma stuff. There's other healthier alternatives or whatever to find. So I was on the antidepressants, and one of the issues I felt with those was I think it made me more bipolar than anything back then, off of the simple fact of
you didn't need it.
So I needed it in a sense where I needed something to kind of help me balance out, if you will. But the problem with the antidepressants is it fires off whatever it is in your brain to make you think you're happy. So you're constantly like, okay, I'm in a better mood or whatever, but the issues are still there. And so they would build up, if you will. And then I would have these drastic mood swings. And I wasn't aware why I was having these drastic mood swings is because the issues were still there, but I'm taking this antidepressant that is tricking my brain into thinking that there's nothing wrong. And so it's kind of the reason why everyone thinks I'm weird, but even though I have some right here, I've tried to stay away from pain medication unless I absolutely have to, because my thought process is if something hurts, if I'm in pain or something like that, just deal with it and fight through it, because it's telling you something's wrong with the body. As opposed to if you're drowning yourself in pain medication, you're not going to be aware of exactly how bad the issue is, and if the issue is getting worse, because you're numbing it with pain medication. So it's kind of the same thing, I think, with antidepressants, is you're numbing yourself of what actually is going on, so then you have the mood swings, so on and so forth. Then the other level to that is one of the things that I learned over the course of these years, a lot of the issues I was having, especially when it came to anxiety, two things was, one, my stomach. I have stomach issues. There's no getting around that. I got stomach issues. I actually missed work on Thursday because I got food poisoning, which food poisoning shouldn't normally not be too big of a big deal. But when I got food poisoning, my stomach stopped digesting or whatever, and it completely put me out of commission. I couldn't move. I had to, I was.
Were you constipated and whatnot?
What's up?
Were you constipated?
So no, I was going to the bathroom, but then my stomach was bloated, and then it's like my stomach stops moving, and when my stomach stops moving, it causes me to have a hard time thinking. And when I have a hard time, because my brain is always rapid fire, and then when I'm having a hard time processing information, then my anxiety starts spiking. because then that's kind of
it
how
has to go somewhere. So
it
like,
goes somewhere. Yes.
shit.
And how the brain works and how anxiety works. And that's always kind of like the joke for people with anxiety or whatever. So the brain stops firing, as quickly as it can. And then it turns into anxiety. And then the anxiety tells you, hey, you're about to die. Hey, these are the early signs of you dying. Hey, you're about to die. And you're telling your body, no, it's just my stomach. No, I think it's death. I think death is right around the corner. And then if you can't control that, that's when panic attacks start happening.
Yeah, and it don't fucking help that we have access to WebMD at our fucking fingertips.
Nigga, there was a motherfucking meme that had me cracking up laughing. And it was like, because they've been doing those memes where it's like nobody and then it's blank and then it says something and then it shows like a little clip. And so it was like nobody, and it's like nobody says this. And then it was like WebMD, and then it was a video of 21 Savage. And you said, nigga, you about to die.
Yo, man, yeah.
Just the last little thing that I got over, which is the difference of 2015 now, is energy drinks. They need to ban them. That was the other thing that was causing anxiety, was energy drinks. So, I say all that I'm in a healthier place now.
That's what's up. Well, I'm glad for it, man. And I guess just on the end, rounding up the topic here, stomach issues. Monday, man, I never had such worse shits, bro. Like, I don't know. And I grew up a lot, so I mean, it was definitely where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? That has a whole lot to play. But dude, just like I wasn't kidding when I said it in the group text with Travelord. Like, I felt like I was just dumping water straight out my asshole. Like, and I'm wondering to myself, like, where the fuck is this all coming from? Now, I know so much of our body percentage is water, but I'm just like, seriously, like, I think I even quit my intake. I'm like, all right, well, let's see if this shit keeps going. Yeah, sure as fuck did. And I remember thinking to myself, so I had to call in, you only get so many sick days. I'm like, I'm already on the cusp. And I was like, man, I might as well get my brakes fixed. And so something with the irony of brake fluid, a brake not really going all the way, asshole not really stopping, you caught in a leakage. Yeah, today's a better day. God bless.
Synchronicity. It was how the universe just brought everything together. And speaking of synchronicity and bringing stuff together, one group that came together, and they came together a long time ago, and I am super late to the party. Run the Jewels, Papo. Run the Jewels LP came out. Shouts out to Killer Mike and LP. The group came together 7 years ago, maybe.
It's been a minute. Like, literally the last time that they had made any public noise, and forgive me for saying this because I'm definitely a fan, was when someone fucking remixed it to all cat noises of meows.
Meow the cat, yeah, or Meow the Jewels.
Meow the Jewels.
So I'm late to the party. People don't pull my hip hop card. I just listened to the Run the Jewels. They got 3 albums outside of. They also remixes. Have the Meow the Jewels, the remixes or whatever. But the 3 actual official releases. That albums I have been listening to for the past 3 weeks. I have them on my Google Play playlist, and it's the Run the Jewel in that order. I have it on repeat, and for 3 weeks straight, I just been listening to all 3 of the albums from top to bottom. Yo, I've been sleeping on Run the Jewels. That's my shit now. Yeah. Oh my god.
What's now again? And forgive me, because even though I'm aware of it, I'm a fan of it. It does have an aggressive twist to where, I mean, it is an acquired taste, and they say it in the music. It's an acquired taste. Yes. And I think, but I recently saw the video, and I feel so bad that I remember the name of the fucking video. But it's kind of like Unusual Suspects. They're in that little lineup.
I know what you're talking about.
What's the name of that song?
That's the only issue that I have with Run the Jewels is I can't remember the titles to any of the songs, because a lot of the titles don't match up with what they're saying on the song.
Fucking.
So it's one of those where I'm having a hard time memorizing any of the titles. Now, I've listened to all 3 albums about 8-9 times now. And so I love the fucking records, and I know, several of the lyrics or whatever. I cannot remember any of the damn titles, but I know which one you're talking about, because they did the whole Usual Suspects, and that was from the 3rd album.
Yeah. Was it? It was from last year. So was that album from last year? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. And so no, yeah. So Run the
See,
Jewels
they're
has
so
been
damn aggressive though, which again, I think it's part of anytime you have a quote unquote super group,
yeah,
is that you not only is LP a veteran beatsmith,
yes,
like as far as rapping goes, I can't really recall. Mind you, this comes from and part of it's commercial bias because I know that's not their level of appeal or what they're aiming for. So again, I wasn't too well versed on LP outside of his beat
same
making
here.
game, which I was always the fan of. His samples, his chops, I mean, all that shit. Hearing him on the record sounds crazy just because it sounds like it's not like like I love Alchemist, but you hear him and you know he came from a I
It's
mean
he's a producer
it's a bad
rapper.
example. Yeah, he's a producer and a producer's rapper or a
Yeah,
rapper's producer kind of
yeah,
thing. Um, but something about LP when he spits, it just sounds. And not only, and I'm not saying I don't believe Alchemist, but you believe it, and it's
yes,
more about a statement of whatever the fuck they're going through, which again adds that level of authenticity that's so lost, and maybe
yes.
why they aren't your Drakes, which again I know they're not aiming for, but because they too real, and it's not something that's I don't know. I don't want to call it niche. I don't know what I'm saying.
No,
Personally.
no, and I would say niche. It's more of a niche market or whatever. But shouts out to Kendrick Lamar who put it best to Pimp a Butterfly. He was like, what did he say? He was like, if rapping really mattered, then Killer Mike would be platinum. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's that kind of shit. But so Run the Jewels, I was blown away by it because for one, yeah, the
throwback.
beats go super hard. They're not your typical just straight hip hop beats. There's a lot of like different elements to it.
This is for the
But when it
elitist
comes
for
yeah.
sure.
And when it comes to content, you got the hardcore rapping, you got the rapidy rapping. Then I've been impressed because there's a lot of political stuff on it.
Oh,
Not with, it's not every single one, but it's a lot of political stuff on there. And then I was blown away on the first album. They have a song about doing psychedelics. And
word.
yes, it's a song about doing psychedelics. And Killer Mike on one of the verses is
Yeah, they
describing
always talk about doing acid and shit.
well, so he talks about doing shrooms with a chick. I think LP
Oh,
talks about doing acid on his verse, and then
that
Killer
white boy
Mike
shit.
on his, he's talking about meeting a chick at a
Kidding.
club. What's up?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm like that white boy shit, but all of it technically. I mean, think about it.
But yeah, Killer Mike talks about doing shrooms with a chick, and he's like, she's like, "Have you ever done?" He was like, "I've never done shrooms, and I never did you. So maybe tonight we could do, I could do two or something like that." And he talks about this trip, and he describes this trip about going back in time to Kemet and just a whole bunch of crazy shit. So anyway, I say all that to say,
Black
I
History
was
Month.
thoroughly impressed with the range of the shit that they do, and I absolutely motherfucking love Run the Jewels and shouts out to LP. Um, what is the song? It's a song on the second album, and it starts off. He says, "Fuck the law. They can eat my dick. That's word to pimp." And every time I have a bad day at work on that drive home, I turn that motherfucker on. Fuck the law. They can eat my dick. That's word to pimp. And you can substitute law for anybody else that's pissing you off.
Fucking
And
A.
I
Wait,
rocks with them.
I'm sorry. And again, this is for the culture. So is this a shout out to Pimp C from Texas, or is this a shout
Yeah.
out to those pimping and but you know what I'm saying? It
Yo,
being
Pimp
hard out
C.
there for such. Okay.
Because I think Pimp C originally, I can't remember what record, but had said that fuck the law, they can eat my dick. And
Okay.
so
So it's an homage line.
LP's doing a shout out to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yo, I was gonna say
but no.
too. One
Oh, go ahead.
thing, just going back to Killer Mike, is that there was no doubt listening to even when I think back to when he was featured on a verse when Outkast did their first number one hits record and they had that song "The Whole World"
Whole
and
world.
the
Yep.
whole world. Mike has been on some. Wouldn't want to say activist, and I know, mind you, these are the days when hip hop actually meant, speaking truths and things you see in the streets and untold stories that unfortunately get lost in the media or, whatever. We couldn't have expected the media did into what it is now back then. But I feel like he's always been on that tip. So like it makes so much more sense to like look back at the journey and think of him when he was advocating for what's my dude's name? Oh, the
Bernie.
Jew, Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's no, it's no question that the progression that we would see this in, and he and I know I don't know if we're gonna switch it up into his new series of
Yes.
content that he has going on right now. But I've been seeing him do promotions for it, and again, I haven't watched the new show. But he just hearing him talk about it. He was on the Joe Rogan. He was on the
That was a
Brilliant
good
Idiot.
episode.
You know what I'm saying? He was doing his little rounds, and it just impressed me so much as to be like, man, I want to hear more about this man.
And that's actually, so he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was surprised because Joe Rogan's not a big rap fan.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan talked about that at the beginning of the show. He was like, yeah, he was like, you know, me and my buddy drove to some other state or whatever, and he was like, he threw on Run the Jewels, and we were listening to that nonstop. I was like blown away. And then Killer Mike was on the Breakfast Club and had a real good interview with the Breakfast Club where him and DJ Envy had a segment that went viral because they got into an argument about public versus private school. And through all that, I was like, yeah, I need to actually listen to Run the Jewels because they've been on my to listen to playlist or whatever.
Such
and
a back catalog. Really quickly, pause it for a second. Breakfast Club, was DJ Envy pro private school?
Yes.
Okay, I figured.
Yes, he was on that light skin shit. So yeah, Envy was super big on private schools and like, oh, my kids get a better education being at the private schools with all the white kids, and he's going to afford him, you know, better opportunities in life. And Envy was like, I went to a private school, and my education, you know, got better. And then Killer Mike was like, nigga, shut that shit up. You became a fucking DJ. Like, I don't want to hear anything about that private school stuff. You grew up to become a DJ. Yes, you became an entrepreneur afterwards, but you could have went to public school and became a DJ. And then Killer Mike, I appreciated his opinion because what he was saying is he was saying from the black experience, he was like, he felt that black kids should be around other black kids until they're at least like 13 or 14 before they're introduced to a heavy white environment. So then that way they can have pride in who they are, because unfortunately being black and being around fucking white people, you're gonna hear a lot of racist shit. You're gonna get a lot of racist shit. And so you need to have pride in yourself before you're introduced to any of that. And so that was Mike's opinion. Then Killer Mike's other opinion with that was just that Envy was kind of full of shit, because Envy was like, well, my kids still, you know, experience racism at the private schools or whatever. And then Killer Mike was like, and yeah, nigga, you drop them off at school in a Ferrari. So he was like, being called a nigga when your daddy drives a Ferrari is completely different than being called a nigga and you're on welfare. Like, it's a completely different, like, so from there, you know, they were talking about the trigger warning, and I end up popping it on Netflix because I think the episodes are only like 30 minutes, if I remember correctly. It's only 6 episodes, and me and Skips watched Trigger Warning. Shouts out to Wikipedia for the article. This motherfucker was incredible. I won't give any spoilers, but just to give a quick synopsis. So essentially the whole thing is, it's a documentary series, and it's just him kind of exploring different issues in America that affect the black community and just America in general. The first episode, Living Black, he lives off of the grid. And he's like, I'm only going to consume and use things that are made by black people for 3 days. And he realized how damn near impossible that is, because white people control everything. Right. On the second one was called Fuck School, and that was when he was talking about the issues with private school versus public schools. Then the third one, which I absolutely love, it was White Gang Privilege, where he talked about how you have the Hells Angels, and the Hells Angels, you know, they sell merchandise, they're a corporation, people, you know, respect them and buy their products and all that. When the Hells Angels has been known for killing people, no one cares about that. So he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Crips and the Bloods, and I'm going to turn them into a marketable brand. And he created Cripocola and Blood Pop. And he is selling Coca-Cola, one that's designed for Crips and one that's designed for Bloods. And he was like, for the people who are like, oh my God, you can't promote the Crips or the Bloods, he was like, Coca-Cola has killed more people than the Crips and Bloods combined, so miss me with that fake outrage.
Yo, I laughed really quickly. You mentioned that because it was on Brilliant Idiots, again, another Charlamagne produced joint. And I think some bitch tried to bring him a Pepsi. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm from Atlanta, I can't drink that.
Don't drink that. We on that Cripocola. I don't even drink soda, but when that motherfucking Cripocola hit the market, I will be buying me some bottles. And then what's up?
No, continue, brother.
And then the fourth episode was New Jesus, and it was kind of how people accept
White
Jesus
Jesus.
is being white. And so he was like, you know what? He was like, I ain't really with that. So he was like, we're gonna create a new Jesus. So he created a black Jesus, and he created a new church to see if he can get people involved in it.
I
And
heard
then
that actually worked.
it worked. Yo, they had some good
Don't
points.
don't, don't give me no spoilers though, because I want to watch that
Yeah. So no
shit.
spoilers, no spoilers. But I will say I will join the Church of Sleep. I'll rocks with them. And
The
then
irony too, the fact that it's called the Church of Sleep, because y'all
Church of
motherfuckers.
Sleep. Yo, all praise to all due praise to sleep.
Wait,
And
so
then
is he? I can't tell. Is he atheist, or does he have like
no,
a Christian background? Because I know he has a Christian background. I'm saying, does he
no, I
does he
think
state where he's at,
I
or
can't remember how deep he got into it, but no, I don't think he's atheist. I think he's kind of similar to me, where believe in God, don't believe in religion. It's one of those
right?
things. Like,
Yeah, because I know
and,
he got mad about his grandma, I think, falling prey to the white Jesus.
yeah,
So
and so that's the
okay.
whole thing is just you're praying to these false images and then getting upset at other people for praying to false images. Just it's kind of contradictory,
Yeah, begin the God
but no.
yourself.
And then he had Outside the Bots, where he created a super group with a bunch of people from different walks of life to try to put a song together, and that one went wild. And then finally, Kill Your Master. He created a new Africa, a new community, and he was trying to separate himself from America to have his own sovereign nation. And anyway, I say all that to say, check out Trigger Warning with Killer Mike on Netflix if you haven't. I hope this becomes a reoccurring thing. I hope he keeps doing this, because it was dope. And then like one of the episodes, he performed one of his rap songs at a nursing home for old white people. And so he got up there and performed. One older white gentleman in a electric wheelchair, motorized wheelchair, or whatever, was highly upset and end up leaving the area or whatnot. And then some of the people were rocking with it or whatever. They're like, okay. And then at the end of the performance, he had a conversation with the people, and some of the people were like, oh well, we don't understand the cussing and the different things like that. And then he broke down the lyrics to the song. And by the end of the breakdown, these people were fans of his and were like, oh my God, I'm gonna go ahead and have to listen to your music and check this out. Because again, it was all of them. They were concerned in the beginning because, oh, it's that rappity rap and they're cussing.
Yeah.
But then after he performed and then explained all of the lyrics, they were like, oh yeah, we agree with that stuff. It's like, exactly. It's just because I'm a black man and I say cuss words that all of a sudden, oh, that's that gangster stuff, like, oh, I gotta stay away from it. But no, we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing, I just say it differently. So the series is dope, man. Check it out.
You mentioning the performing for old folks, that reminds me of a skit. And shout out to Cardi B and all her recent success.
Oh,
It's been a long
I can't do it.
range.
Oh,
She had did a skit where she went to old folks homes. She was performing, and come on now, a bunch of old racist motherfuckers singing. I'm saying they can't tell whether she's black or Latina, shaking her ass, singing a song. Like you can't say it ain't going. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a bigger hit more than anything else, especially because she played that Celia Cruz sampled song, Like It Like That or whatever.
yes,
No,
I like it like that. Yes.
you know what I'm saying? All the old folks are kind of dancing because that's something that even in its heyday still triggered its way into mainstream music. So again, the resurgence is like hitting multiple demographics at once. So really quickly, I'm just laughing because I remember this old man trying to get up on her booty. Like he's like, I haven't felt blood flow from my dick in generations, you know. But going back to the influence, and Lord forbid, I mean, I want Killer Mike to get mainstay, like capital success. Being on Netflix is definitely one of the most best mediums to jump off from.
Yeah.
Especially, whether or not they paid them much shit for it. Regardless, it's such an ease of access because most people have it or can get their connection to it. Now, again, Lord forbid, we got a situation to remember NWA. They was shaping the minds of the youth, and we had to get the FBI involved. Fucking Eazy-E's dark black ass had to go to the White House himself to talk to fucking Reagan. You know what I'm saying? That might have been when they slipped the motherfucker the AIDS. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
We look at Pac. You know what I'm saying? They had, obviously, he got ousted and whatnot. And I can't really think of any other, and I'm trying to think of rap figures that have made that much noise in a sense to where for those that believe it's just noise, then they'll ignore it. But for those that again are able to fine tune decipher shit, figure out, oh man, they're saying a whole lot more. And people, for the most part, especially I get mad, especially at movies. Real recently, I bought the DVD for the Queen movie. When I saw it originally in theaters, I was geeked the fuck out. I'm a big Freddie Mercury fan. It all seemed like a masterpiece. I get it. I'm more comfortable. I already got it out of my system. You know what I'm saying? I bust that first nut already. I'm more calm, more stable. Now I'm able to, appreciate continuity and how they edit and all this shit. I'm realizing, man, they're just chop, 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 giving you all these key points, and then you realize that, oh man, this shit seems very sloppily fucking pieced together. Like once the magic of, once the, like, what does it say? Like once the honeymoon,
the allure,
the allure, honeymoons, whatever. Once that shit is out the way, and all you have is the actual content itself, you're able to break it down and be like, oh, this is kind of corny. So in that same essence, for those, I feel like those who listen, unless you truly are just the black sheep of everything, you want a little bit more substance. You want to be able to dig into something a little bit deeper and get the main nectar out of it. Just how, again, Run the Jewels, it's more of an elitist group, because if you wanted bubblegum shit that's going to be easy listening, you're going to go somewhere else. This is somewhere where you're a master of both, all the crafts, to where, you appreciate shit more. What I'm trying to say is, if that were to happen, and he gets where he should be, to even more masses, and Lord forbid they try to, I don't know, find a way to X him out, for the people that were influenced into both the message and the change that needs to come from knowing this information, because they say knowing is half the battle, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel, if that were to happen, and I know it took real long to come full circle with this bitch, but do you feel like, is that considered cultural appropriation, or is that just logical thinking and acceptance? If someone were to, I don't know, like what makes the marketing for Run the Jewels so perfect, especially when they did that cat shit, the internet, millions of views and videos are based around cats and animals and shit like that. And I think LP is a cat person. I don't know about Killer Mike, but for that to be like a logo, or like a what is it called when they have like the Suns, they have the gorilla, or a mascot.
the mascot,
Like, and again, so having a kitty mascot, that's just fucking perfect way to set the internet on fire. So again, it's gonna bring in a lot of people. Do you feel like for people to embrace it, would that be considered cultural appropriation? Especially if, some bitch is wearing the t-shirt like she was wearing a Rolling Stones t-shirt, as if the bitch was listening to 70s rock, before that.
I don't think so, because I think typically cultural appropriation is if someone's trying to take the culture and make a profit off of it without being part of the culture and at its expense of the culture. So like Iggy Azalea, Miley Cyrus are two good examples, or actually using Miley right now because she kind of went full circle. She's a good example of it, in the sense of how she did the Bangers tour, and look, I'm surrounded by all these black women with big booties, and look, we're making all this ratchet music, and we're doing all this stuff. And then after that stopped selling and that wasn't working, then she switched over to the white music, and she's no longer surrounded by black people. And now all of a sudden it's all positive songs and all that. And it was like, oh, I'm no longer with those people. And kind of the same thing, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, that was cultural appropriation. So his issue was he started getting black, if you will, and he was hanging around with that one kid that was in Young Money, and he was getting into all that trouble, so on and so forth. And then he cleaned up his image by like, Bieber.
Oh, okay.
And then he was like, I'm not hanging around with that same group of people anymore. I've cleaned up my image. And it again was, I'm not around those black people anymore. So now I'm not wilding out. And so that's more so. So a chick wearing a Run the Jewel shirt, I mean, you're attempting to be an ally, if you will. But if you try to take the Run the Jewels message and try to flip it around and benefit off of it when you're not part of the culture and you're just kind of watering it down, that's more so the issue. But I do have concerns about Killer Mike if he does completely cross over and become mainstream, if they're gonna try to get rid of his ass, because they are notoriously known for when black people start talking that shake up the industry type shit. That's when they shut him down. Shouts out to the Grammys that happened a week or so ago,
Here we go.
and they begged Drake to come to the Grammys. Drake ended up winning a Grammy for best rap song. Drake went out there to do for God's plan.
Okay.
Drake went out there to do the speech, and during his speech, he was basically like, "Yeah,
They cut him off.
yeah." So he went out there. He was like, "Yeah, so these Grammys don't really mean much." He was like, "Long as people rocking with you and supporting you, that's all that matters. This Grammy doesn't mean much." They cut his mic off, went to commercial. So it was one of those things where Drake, please come here. Drake, please come here. And then Drake showed up. It was like, yeah, the Grammys is kind of bullshit. This is just a whole bunch of white people in the back just picking who they rock with. And Grammys was like, nah, shut that nigga the fuck up. So once you start talking that real shit, they don't fuck with you anymore.
See, any light skin. So, which again, and please believe, and obviously, I think you were one of the first. You between the two, you definitely were Team Cardi before either of us. So definitely, you know what I'm saying. I know you called it, and I couldn't have definitely if we're seeing because Invasion of Privacy was definitely a dope ass record from it not only having bangers, it to also having the sentimental joints that it seems so fucking real. It gave every bitch an anthem, you know what I'm saying, to put their finger in their fucking man's face, maybe even dig it into the goddamn forehead, you know what I'm saying, and like that's the power of Cardi. Now at the same point though, it's like songs like Money, which again perfectly timed after the whole fiasco of her falling out with whatever the fuck that Migos guy's name is, baby daddy husband, and she again came out saying, I don't need the deed, I need the money. So and that's never, I haven't heard much more of a, and again, and I say the term loosely because she's not really saying to go jump on random dick, but that's a hoe anthem, if you know what I'm saying, if I ever heard one, more subtle, less O to the hoe, but still an anthem of the sorts nonetheless. And I'm curious because the Grammys, again, they gave her Grammy. Nicki Minaj, of course, bitching about saying that she's had been hating on or something, whatever the fuck, people don't like her. Yeah, so there's definitely a clear visibility of who seems like a nicer character, who's the villain, who's the heel,
and it comes down to Cardi B is part of the machine, whether she realizes it or not. Right. And that is the thing, is that the industry has dubbed Cardi B as the new one, and the industry isn't fucking with Nicki Minaj. Similar to the only reason why Drake, I think, said that shit that he said during the Grammys. Drake has never been super fight the machine or anything like that. But I think Drake is saying that because the thing that is starting to become apparent is the industry is attempting to move away from Drake, and they're trying to give it to Chance the Rapper.
Really?
So the machine is getting behind Chance the Rapper, and the machine is getting behind Cardi.
Okay.
So that's the reason why Nicki is wilding out the way she is, and that's the reason why Drake is starting to talk that shit that he's talking.
And because obviously they're in the same camp, so I mean, I don't know if you can't have one, you can't have all, but most certainly.
And real quick, talking about Nicki, shouts out to Nicki's tweet earlier today when she said, "Last time I ain't swallowed the nut, I got pregnant." So she real. Shouts out to her.
God bless her. See, and again, she's on that real shit, which I can't be mad at completely.
Never mad at that. She doing the Lord's work. She is doing the Lord's work.
And she's telling these hoes, hey, if I'm the queen, then who the hell are y'all? Go suck that dick, girl. But again, in that very same essence, and this is what I feel again is part of the machine's allure, is that because we put this person at the forefront, because we've all publicly, without having to have some kind of a Illuminati ceremony in the public eye, we're passing on the baton and we're showing you who the fuck's on the throne. Again, and it's difficult to have a rapper with clean subject matter that isn't a fucking Christian rapper, and the last Christian rapper in the news is fucking goddamn comatose victim since the age of 3. So like, you can't really convolute the two. But at the same time, do you feel like that's just okay because the machine's behind her? This is a way to kind of keep poetry alive and allow that to be okay. Allow that again, because it's not like she's going to say out there, go read and you know what I'm saying, and further your education. Not giving that kind of message.
I think one of the things, so I think her music is as over the top and raunchy as it is because she was a
Sex
stripper.
sounds right.
Yeah. And so I don't know the reason why the machine jumped behind her. I won't say it's necessarily to promote hoism. I think there's a clear connection with the audience and with her. Like there's a clear, like she speaks and people listens or something about that. But then the other thing that I bring up with Cardi is outside of the raunchy lyrics that she does, so on and so forth. The other thing that she started to do, which a lot of people are rocking with, is she's been mad political over the past 3 months on Twitter, and it has been lovely. So much so, a lot of people are like, they need to give her some type of show or some type of platform so she can talk politics. Because regardless of,
I hope they don't give her a fucking Jada Pickett at Facebook live circle fucking type thing. I hope that they put her on the main or stay. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but it's just she seems to be political at this point now, and it's been brilliant. It's positive, and so hopefully that this is something else, the growth. Because shouts out to Meek Mill, since the whole jail incident, has grown. His last album, he showed a level of maturity, not on every single record, but there's a level of maturity where, oh, Meek's waking up. He's been doing prison reform and so on and so forth. 21 Savage, before the whole immigration thing or whatever, 21 started getting on he's thinking on another level, trying to. And so I appreciate that the rappers nowadays, even if they're gangster rappers or former drug dealers or former strippers or whatever, outside of the music, at least they're trying to progress as people and trying to make change. So there's some positivity with it.
Well, fucking it. And I think that's what kind of creates the attention that sometimes will give you the, oh, he fought the country. Are we going to talk 21 later? Yeah.
I don't even think I had. Yeah, I don't even think I had 21 on the docket. So yeah, we can talk about them now.
Well, regardless, I know it's been the news everywhere, especially which has also upset me because the fact that it's a fucking rapper. You know what I'm saying? 21 Savage recently getting media's attention because he got deported. We found out, or not, he didn't get deported. He got detained by ICE, right? We found out he was from some kind of colony from Great Britain, somewhere in the UK.
We found out that when he said he was a blood, he really meant that he was a redcoat.
Niggas fighting over the tea, and here we are spilling the tea via microphone. No, and 21, and what upset me? Because did you remember? Were you there to witness the beef with Demi Lovato?
Yes, and I'm actually keep going because I'm trying to bring up the meme.
Yo, the funniest meme was the one with Ike Turner. Tell me that's the one you're gonna pull up.
Well, no, I was bringing up one that I shared on the Facebook. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook.com/Arizona Soul Podcast for all those great memes. Should never give you niggas the internet.
Yo, the Facebook page is very popular. I highly suggest everyone go and visit that because you won't be disappointed. Now, there was a meme though where it goes everybody on Twitter, LOLOL or LMFAO, whatever, Black Twitter snapping on 21 Savage. Then it goes Demi Lovato at Black Twitter. You guys are hilarious. It's my favorite thing since during Super Bowl. Black Twitter, and then it has a picture of that picture of Ike Turner just fucking giving that look, the one that I sent you in our little group chat, and it's so real. Mind you, for the culture, I can understand she's Latina or she's just this pop Disney bitch that recently, came off of fucking ODing and shit. Like, I can understand the hate for it, but at the same time, it upsets me the fact that most of these motherfuckers won't give a fuck about immigration and who the hell ICE be detaining. All of a sudden, we got, you know what I'm saying, a blood of sorts, you know what I'm saying, a hoodlum for damn sure, you know what I'm saying, someone who fucking Hillary Clinton would have called a super thug without a damn doubt, and yet tears. Fucking J-Hove trying to give his legal representation, which I definitely want to fucking hear what kind of fuck deal that he had to force him on. He pulled a fucking Suge Knight with Tupac with 21 Savage. I know it. We ain't got to make news about it. It had to have happened. Why the fuck would he give him legal counsel? And why is everyone so concerned about deportation now? And it was just for him. He paid $100,000 bond to get out of, and mind you have the money. Why not, right? You don't have to be detained. But I think about all the other motherfuckers that had to deal with this shit that definitely would never, ever have that kind of outlet or that kind of scapegoat or, be able to get out of it. So it heated me Because I don't give a fuck about my people. My people wetbacks and spicks, and they get fucking heat hoed the fuck out of here every chance that they get caught. And good riddance, right? But at the same time, I get so mad that we made such a red carpet for this motherfucker. And it's not like he's TK Franklin. It's not like he's just someone spitting gospel trying to help people. No.
Well, so I will say, so one thing is, I think, like I was saying earlier, 21 over the past year has shown some growth, where he started off as this like, oh, that motherfucker's a killer. And then it was like over the course of the last year, it's like, oh, he's starting to wake up. Kind of similar to Unfortunate. Tentacion was a menace. And then that last year before he got killed, it was like, oh, he's starting to wake up. Like, okay, he, it's going to take a while because he's still a young kid or whatever, but he's going to do something positive or whatever. And so 21 started, growing as a person. Jay has been. That's one of the things with Jay that I don't think Jay gets enough credit for, because Jay did do this with helping 21 Savage. Meek Mill, when Meek Mill was in legal trouble, he helped a whole bunch of shit with Meek Mill. Even going back in time when the fucking Columbine massacre happened, a lot of people don't know, Jay-Z donated millions of dollars to the families in the Columbine, for the Columbine victims.
Back in that.
What's up?
Wait, Columbine, as in the one in Colorado?
The school shooting. Back in it, Jay-Z donated millions of dollars to those families. Same thing with 9/11. Like, Jay has been
pivot days, for real.
Yeah, Jay has notoriously been behind the scenes doing so. Yeah, look up the Columbine with Jay-Z and the 9/11. Jay-Z donated a whole bunch of money. So it's one of those things. Jay-Z has been doing this for like a long fucking time, but he doesn't, like, we're used to the braggadocious shit that he does, but he's been on his political shit in a sense for a while. But no, one thing I said, because I did see some people who on Twitter were saying that, like, oh, you guys weren't this upset when, the kids were in cages or whatever with ICE. And at least on my timeline, the same people that were upset about the 21 Savage shit was the same people that were upset about, like, I saw the same level of outrage the whole time. But for whatever reason, people got upset when they started, like, backing up 21. But going back to the Demi Lovato thing real quick, because one of the things, because a lot of people turned into a race thing, it was like, oh, they just hated her because she wasn't black or whatever. No, the part that was missed was the timing of it. So when that shit first came out that morning about 21 Savage getting detained by ICE, all of us in the morning and the afternoon were cracking up laughing, because it was like, wait, I thought he was from Atlanta. What do you mean he's from the UK? And then that's when all the red coats jokes started happening, so on and so forth. I didn't
see any of those. Shit was hilarious.
Yeah, so it started in the very beginning. Everyone was laughing because it was the shock of, he's not from Atlanta. And so, everyone's getting their jokes off. Towards the middle and later on in the day, going into the evening, the consensus on Twitter started to change, and people started to wake up like, okay, wait, he got detained by ICE. Like, wait, this is fucked up. And then it was around when the wave and how people were talking about it changed, and people were like, no, we're upset about this. That's when then Demi Lovato came out and cracked that joke, and it was like, we're over the joke. Like, you kind of missed the timing. We're off of the funniness. Now we're on the outrage of what's going on. And so it was, unfortunately, her not being part of the culture. You missed that. Like, if she said what she said earlier in the day, no one would have cared. But you said that at the time when, no, now we're upset. We're in the morning stage of it, and she was just out of tune with what's going on. But no, shouts out to the and shouts out to the Twitter or the Facebook fan page. This was my favorite one. Twitter breaks news about 21 Savage being deported by ICE. Everyone creates and laughs at 21 Savage memes. Demi Lovato came out and said, I'm enjoying these 21 Savage memes more than the Super Bowl. And then people cut her off. Shut the fuck up, you booger sugar sniffing crackhead bitch. And this meme went viral on our page. Little insight for the listeners. This motherfucker reached 1.6 million people. This shit went viral on our motherfucking page. So we had it was a massive hit. And it had like over It had like over 24,000 shares. It had 1.2 thousand comments or whatever. I was on it just going through reading outrage or whatever. But shouts out to motherfucking, again, follow us on Facebook fan page. It's popping over there. Our reach is now like 1 million to 2 million a month with the shoulda never gave you niggas internet. But again, yeah, Demi Lovato, just unfortunately she cracked the joke at the wrong motherfucking time. Like, okay, it's not funny anymore, and you kind of missed that. And then also fuck Tommy Lauren. I know we ain't supposed to be saying her name within the black community, but fuck her. When a year ago,
Wait, from Fox?
was up.
For tell me, isn't that the former bitch from Fox days?
The fake Megan Kelly chick.
Yeah,
chick,
okay.
Yeah. She
cookie cutter Megan Kelly bit cunt.
Yeah, the year or two ago, or whatever, trying to show that she wasn't racist. She showed a video where she was singing 21 Savage song 1, 2, 3, 4 M's in my bank account or whatever. Then when the shit happened with 21 Savage or whatever, and then she came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, you got deported, some bullshit like that. And yeah, and again, that's the reason why we don't fuck with you and that racist bullshit. You could miss me with all the, oh, I have had a black boyfriend, and oh, I'm not racist because I listen to rap music. No, the second it fits your agenda, you're gonna start shitting on black people, black and brown people, because that's what the fuck you do, because you're a racist piece of shit. So again, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch.
You know how many times I got BBC'd in my life? Yo, so what was the deal? Is Gucci gonna be for the main topics for the next episode?
Yeah, we'll get that. Yeah, another one. Yeah, we'll dive a little deeper into that.
Okay. Because I was about to say, man, Katy Perry was doing some of the same shit, but I'll bring it up when we bring it up.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'm stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But or actually, technically, the people who are listening to this happened like a couple days ago. So we'll just yeah. Because technically,
but not everyone pay attention to the news, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why shows like us need a mainstay. You look at what was it last week with John Oliver? You know what I'm saying? There's so much shit that happens throughout the week that we don't pay attention to. Like I literally have to dig into the weeds sometimes to find some of the topics that may or may not ever make it to our. But you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that we wouldn't hear about. We wouldn't read about. It might be a headline for like a brief second, but we live in such a, I don't know what kind of time we live in now, Verse, where it's just on to the next one.
It's mad quick. It's always on to the next one. And no, speaking of on to the next one, did you see in that news that made you go, what the fuck? You see this half-naked woman was arrested for masturbating in a restaurant, and then she picked up where she left off in a squad car?
She looked like it.
Yeah, she looked like she was trying to get her rocks off. She's like, "Wait, y'all gonna arrest me for that?"
Did this happen on the East Coast?
So, and that was the part I was confused about. Oh no, so would you look at that, Texas? It's always Florida, Texas, or Arizona.
Really quickly, throw back to I don't know how many seasons ago when we had announced there being some kind of masturbation station that was traveling all around Manhattan.
Yes.
There's a reason why that shit ain't happening there, because they got masturbation stations, and here we are, fucking built up, pent up with beautiful weather.
See, you need those masturbation stations. This wouldn't be happening. Now, a Texas woman was arrested for public masturbation. She picked up where she left off once the police arrested her. Dovey Nichols, who wasn't wearing pants when she and her vibrator grabbed a seat on the patio of an Austin restaurant, was arrested for indecent exposure on Tuesday.
You look at her, you can see the hipster bitch on her. You can tell she watches her cooch with crystals.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's not the freshest of scents. The general manager of JW Marriott Hotel reportedly notified staff members that he spotted her with her legs straight up in the air, spread open, pleasuring herself with the silver object. He could hear Nichols making moaning noises as she was having an orgasm. Now, the police arrived on scene where the 26-year-old woman was still getting it in. She stopped her motions, put her hands on the table once officers approached. They put her in handcuffs, placed her in the back of the squad car, where she began to repeatedly rub her growing back and forth on the plastic seat, moaning. The arresting officers' opinions, that even without the use of her hands, Nichols was still trying to gratify herself. Even when asked to stop, Nichols continued to do so for the duration of our encounter.
Hey,
occur. So shouts out to her. She's just trying to get her rocks off, and people's hating. Just hey, let her get her rocks off.
Yo, speaking of shout out to former dedication, Miss Ellie Dog. She had posted a meme saying for all the little girls that weren't dry humping the couch when they're little, don't know a damn thing about how to ride the dick today. And when I read that, I was just like, God damn! Like it sounds fucked up because you're young, you're innocent, you just happen to do little things to you don't know exactly what happens. You just know that when you create friction, you know what I'm saying, you get some motherfucking beautiful chemicals that arise, and to think that that's where it starts at. I mean, if you think about it, so men lock up your daughters. You say don't let them learn shit. Let them be socially awkward so that hopefully a dick just scares them away or they scare away the dick.
No, and I remember there was a movie I saw when I was younger. I don't know why I saw it when I was younger, but it was called like Live Nude Girls, and it was a movie. It wasn't like a porn or anything like that, but it was a movie. And I want to say it might have been Marissa Tomei. I'm gonna try to look it up.
Ooh.
It was somebody that was on it, but I remember there was a part on there where a chick was talking about how she learned how to masturbate when she was like fucking 5 or something like that because she was humping her Dr. Seuss book or some shit like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, we all
I,
learn at a very young age.
Yo, I think it's if you for any of those who have Netflix, highly recommend the animated show called Big Mouth. Big Mouth is I
Oh,
think
I haven't
produced,
watched it
written,
yet,
and
but I've seen
voiced.
it on there.
Yo, John Mulaney and Nick Kroll, they're fucking hilarious. And I forget who plays this little black girl, but she's this little nerdy type, and she has like one of those. Oh god, it is sickening because it looks like a fucking worm, and I think that's how it is in real life too. It's like this glowworm toy where like the cheeks they light up, and it's like a plush toy, but the top of the head and the bottom of the tail, are made out of plastic. So you have this
Okay.
smooth plush, and then you have like this harder plastic tip. So if you think about it, kids who go to sleep snuggling with their fucking teddy bears or the little blankies or whatever item that they have for sanity's sake, could you imagine though, like again, having this little hard part that's at the bottom, that's in between your legs, accidentally, and I mean that's an early masturbation tool for damn sure. And I'm wondering, all the years of studies and surveys and just, I mean, shit that we've been rocking from the 50s and all the psychedelic experiments, you can't say that we haven't figured that out and also made this a point, almost like a rite of passage in a real fucked up way of bestowing onto the kids, just like how we do cowboys and Indians, not only creating a culture and racial divide, but then again, putting barriers of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and again at the same time, kind of holding these little young thoughties up into into future thought professionals. Like it's a fucking, I don't know, it's a mind boggling and it scares me. And again, it's meant to be funny because hey, you can relate. You're like, oh yeah, I had the same toy, and yeah, whatever, it did this and that. But I almost feel like it underhandedly, underlyingly shows and kind of and crops the next group of generations, no? Or
No, I think we're
am I
just
still talking
sexual.
about this?
I
Yeah,
think we're just sexual creatures, and there's no getting around it. You could live in a white box with no access to any information or any outside. You're still going to learn how to masturbate because we're just
fucking
sexual creatures. Now, it reminded me though, and this is one of my favorite books. Shout out
oh yeah,
to Sets at Dawn by Christopher Ryan. I actually think it should be required reading once you get to college because it kind of explains the sexual evolution of humans and so on and so forth. One of the craziest stories in there, you're talking about toys, is that one of the first electronic devices ever sold was a medical tool that doctors used, and it was for women with hysteria.
ooh,
Women would be acting weird. They would come to the doctor. The doctor would use this medical device on them to help them get over their hysteria. And then
yeah,
eventually over time, they started selling it where they can take it home. That toy was a vibrator. What the women who quote unquote had a stereo would come to the doctor would basically use a vibrator on them to make them orgasm, and it would make them calm down. And that was one of the first electronics ever sold, household items, and it was a medical tool. And yeah, I learned that from Setsadon. Required reading. Everybody should check this out. Christopher Ryan. Yeah, it It explained a lot about the reason why the world is the way it is. It's the reason why people are have that's the reason why humans have a hard time being monogamous, because we're actually not monogamous creatures. We just are trying to pretend to be civilized or whatever.
We're the prudes
It's
that fucking left our hoish, you know what I'm saying, forefathers. Technically.
Yeah, it's so again, like with humans, the best way to understand how humans started is by going back to hunter gatherers, the people who are not in cities. Look at the hunter gatherers, because that's how we were for hundreds of thousands of years. And so if you watch how hunter gatherers move in these civilizations that are untouched or whatever, you see how we as humans developed. And that's the whole thing. When you go back to the hunter gatherers, it's women run society, not men. It's women run it. And then there is no such thing as marriage or anything like that. And then there's actually no such thing as paternity, if you will. A woman within the village has a kid, and that's where the phrase "it takes a village to raise a kid," because it's not, oh, this kid is that woman and that man. It's that this kid is the village's kid, and it's everybody's job to raise this kid. And that's where that phrase comes from or whatever. And so again, I highly recommend people read this book. A lot of knowledge on how we've changed the society. So
Fucking A.
your
Yeah. Message.
message.
Yeah, so much.
I know. And speaking of some people that haven't caught up, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was gonna say that they're speaking of the. I was just thinking about the toys again. Still thinking about little masturbation toys. There was a Harry Potter wand. What?
No, I was fucking with you. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, no. This is not. There's a Harry Potter wand. For those, you know, Harry Potter, he's a magician, has a magical wand, and it vibrated, and apparently it sold off the shelves because you know, people were using it for as a masturbation tool or a vibrator or whatever like that. Think about it; those shit's gonna be pretty expensive. So you can find one for $4.99 at your local Walmart. Why the fuck wouldn't you? Recently I was at the dollar store, and like they either have total fucking knockoffs or they have shit from fucking 10 years ago that you figure must have fell off a truck somewhere, and here it is on sale. And I caught one of them joints.
Somebody got some open stock.
Yo, for sure, for damn sure. And thinking to myself, man, this shit's come a long way, making, you know, little girls to fucking overage women with fucking cats and fucking cigarette butts all over their asses while they fucking squirt. And here it is selling for $1. Maybe even more. I didn't fucking check. It was a Dollar General, so I'm sure it was $1. And I just thought to myself, I should put this shit on eBay. And then, of course, I was with my baby, so he was fucking terrorizing down aisle full of glass and plastic. So I just changed his ass. But I was just like, fuck, I should have gotten it. I'm sorry. Terrible. I don't know.
Terrible. I know. Speaking of terrible, shouts out to the very fine folks at Fox and Friends. Did you see this dumbass Pete Hegseth or whatever? Basically, he was on Fox and Friends and admitted that he hasn't washed his hands in 10 years.
What
and the reasoning behind that, because he said that germs are not a real thing. He was like, I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
Yo, see no evil, speak no evil. Yo, really quickly before we go into the story, when I went to go get my car fixed this past time, the first thing on the fucking news was the Fox. I didn't know Fox. I forget because I don't have fucking cable. That Fox has like a million bajillion channels, similar like to CNN, and I don't know if this was like a kind of Fox channel that jumped to different Fox stations, and it's so creepy. Look at that, bam! Everyone always has a white bitch with cross legs, right panty shots.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it's
Jedi
so crazy.
Fox
That's legitly a Jedi Fox trick that is on every station. Because every time that it would switch over to another fucking cavalry colony of fucking white people, it was the same brunette and fucking blonde bitches with mini skirts, and the dudes are so fucking brony and fucking asinine and douchey. And I'm like, yo, they, and then you could tell they're living their best life. And then, you know, with the beautiful scenery around, it's just like, man, how could this not be a recipe for fuck you, white power? Anyways, exactly. And so yeah, it was a very uncomfortable fucking sit while my asshole was leaking, and then so here I am, fucking my ass was puckering up because I'm like, oh my god, there's obvious racists around me, and then but still not puckered up enough to fucking stop the leakage. Fucking, it was very, very ironic day.
That's all bad. No, and I was trying to find, because this guy, Dang, I can't find where it's at. But this guy, the Pete Hegseth guy, I saw somewhere that he has something to do with healthcare. Oh
Whoa.
no, here we go. Yeah, so this guy who doesn't believe in germs was a finalist to lead a VA medical system that cares for 9 million people. So again, this is the beauty of Fox News and Republicans and shit like this. You have this guy who doesn't believe in germs, who's going to run healthcare. You have Betty DeVos, who is not educated, trying to run education. Then you got Ben Carson, who's running HUD, clearly just because he's a Negro. This is how they do it, and that's part of the reason why we're in the mess that we are in. But yeah, shouts out to Fox and Friends because yeah, I guess they don't wash their hands because I mean, if you can't see the germs, they don't exist. I mean, gosh.
I mean, if you can't see them, are they really there? Yo, are we gonna be talking about the measles on the next episode?
No, and actually, we can get into that right now because
Okay.
that is the thing that kind of adding on to that is motherfucking 2019. We have seen a explosion, and the motherfucking measles is back, Papo. The
Yo,
measles is back. What is
I, th-
going on?
I thought that was like one of the most easily treatable, fucking non-life threatening shits that we
Oh,
can ever have.
oh, you know, it is when people fucking vaccinate, when people take these shots when they're younger and different things like that, so then they don't get these diseases. So I am a person who I don't do the flu shot. Just for a simple fact of now that I'm older and I'm fucking in my 30s or whatever, um, when I get the flu shot, I get sick. When I don't take the flu shot, I don't get sick, and that's just been a reoccurring thing for some time now, or whatever. The whenever I do get sick, it's normally some type of head cold where I got the ear issues or wherever my ear gets infected. That's when I get sick. But I typically don't catch just whatever the common cold is floating around. Now, I say all that to say the vaccinations as you grow up is important. And then you have these people who are on the whole kick of, oh my God, you know, well, people get vaccinated and they get autism. I would rather the kid have autism than to die. And I would also rather that
Well,
than the case of fucking, this is exactly what's going on. The measles is coming back. Polio is coming back. All these fucking diseases we eradicated like damn near 100 years are coming back because people don't want to fucking want to vaccinate themselves. Because and the unfortunate part about it is the original doctor who came out and said all that shit about the vaccinations cause autism, so on and so forth. That dude later on ended up losing his license and ended up coming out that he fudged those numbers, the information that he put out. But unfortunately, we as a society, we hear that headline in the beginning, but we never get the follow-up information. So everyone still goes off of that initial report that he put out, when then later on he came out and admitted that he was incorrect in his findings. But we are still stuck on that original report.
see, now I'm of both minds, which is what makes shit dangerous and forever non-evolving, unfortunately. But with the measles, because again, it came back with a fucking vengeance to where it killed what over 100,000 kids. One of the fucked up things, and again, and this goes along with polio too. There's a lot of polio cases where, again, something's easily treatable, something we've been fucking shitting on since the 50s. How the fuck the shit can come around and turn around now is ridiculous or too crazy to contemplate. Especially on the East Coast, kids were dying of like flu-like symptoms. Excuse me, it has been such a fucking crazy thing to think a fucking cold, something as basic of a fucking flu, something that comes every year, that has to be, pretty big and badass to continue, and us either not cure it because it's more profitable to kind of give the temporary solutions. You know what I'm saying? That could be one thing, and which means it'll only come back stronger and stronger, right? Because eventually we're gonna have to fucking our bodies won't be able to fucking to take the same old, just like when you take ibuprofen too long, you got to switch it up to, I don't know, Tylenol or whatever fucking thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I don't get, and I'm wondering, because I know we reported on this maybe a few seasons ago, that we had found some kind of fossil that had the Black Plague in it. I don't know if you remember that, but the fact that we have these fossilized items that again carry the fucking Black Plague, to think that shit could still be alive. I don't know how many thousands or hundreds. I don't know how long it's been since Black Plague. Regardless,
that was the Middle Ages.
Middle Ages.
That's been 100 years. Yeah, hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years. So for us to be able to find this bitch in a fossil, I don't know if again, because it's probably way too deep in a conspiracy theory to think that we took a little bit of sample and it's been getting passed along, you know, in the underground railroad of you know, fuck shit that's gonna affect us all as a society. So I won't get on all that, but it is a trip that the anti-vaccination thing supposedly they're saying is also being triggered by like Russian spam bots. So if you think no for real, think about it
Everything's
though,
Russians. Everything's
because
Russians.
everything's Russian. Again, it's another red coat scare shit. But if you think about it though, if that had any kind of influence on the 2016 elections, and again, just throwing little nuggets, throwing little seeds, you know, whether it be a tweet or whatever source, because remember, once something is become big enough to where it's a Google search pop up, you know, right when you enter information in, we're gonna go off that shit like it was fact. We're gonna go off of that like, oh, that's the most common. That's what everyone's talking about. We're gonna take that shit as law. We're gonna take it as concrete, and it's gonna again shape our minds because all we need is that fucking headline. That's all I needed. I can quit searching now.
But I will say that, and there's no kind of getting around it, but I think that's unfortunately the people who do only read headlines. Now, I typically, what I try to do, I see something, I see a headline, and before I react on the headline, do a little research,
Yeah.
and dig a little deeper or whatever to confirm. But that is the problem with society today. News is moving by so quickly that people are just reading the headlines, reacting, so on and so forth. Now, I will say though, because yeah, there's the whole Russian bot thing. There was a thing with Kamala Harris, who's running for president, who she had said something or whatever, and it turned into a whole hashtag on Twitter, Camilla Harris rap bars or whatever, and they were making fun of her, so on and so forth. And then I took that hashtag and I posted that hashtag was created by Russian bots. And I started getting a response of people who were like, yeah, see, I knew this was created by Russian. That was a fucking headline I just created from the podcast website. And people were like, oh, see, I knew that was Russian bots. No, nigga, I just said that.
Talking shit.
Like, I don't know, we're in a weird place right now where the internet is fabulous because you could look in and you could research and find out more information. The information on the entire world, the history of our existence is all right here on motherfucking the internet. But then also there's access to a whole bunch of bullshit on there where if you're not digging deep, like you have
not
to
careful, really.
Yo, and actually, and shouts out to Neil deGrasse Tyson because he put it best. We live in a society with scientifically illiterate people, and that's the reason why he's big on STEM. And it's what science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or whatever. If you keep
STEM research, okay.
Yeah, so not stem cell research, but yeah, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you learn that and you have that way of critical thinking or whatever, you could weave through all this quote unquote fake news bullshit because you can think critically by taking this information and then dissect it and then come into a conclusion as opposed to just reading headlines. And I think that's the problem that we live in today. You have a generation of people who grew up just watching the news. They watch the news every day, and this is what the news is telling me. So this is what the answers is. And we as individuals, you need to learn how to think critically. So you have the fucking Trump generation, these people who voted for Trump. I don't agree with them. A lot of them were pieces of shit, but I understand the ignorance that they're going through because they grew up on Fox News, who told them everyone who doesn't look like you is fucking dangerous. They're not doing any type of critical thinking. So no wonder they fucking grew up to be racist. Yeah. Same thing with you have some people who grew up in Texas or some of these rural environments where they're not around any black people. And then they watch Fox News and they only see black people as, bad guys. So of course, when they run into a black guy in person, oh, he's a criminal. They're uneducated and they're being taught by news who's just force feeding them information or whatever. So that's why you got to promote STEM learning with the youth as they grow up or whatever, so they can learn how to critically think on their own. You give me some information and I'll do my own research. I'll come to my own conclusion other than you force feed me. This is how it is, because that's kind of why we are at where we are in society, because people find their bubble. This is my bubble information and you give me all of this and that's all I'm gonna listen to. I won't hear anything else. That's the reason why and actually Killer Mike brought that up on one of those episodes on Trigger Warning morning. He was talking about how you have these people who, okay, I'm a Christian, so I'm only in this bubble. Oh, I'm black, I'm only in this bubble. Oh, I'm Republican, I'm only in this bubble. And no one's talking to each other. And that's the
Right.
reason why there's no fucking information, because everyone gets in their confirmation bias of, no, it's
Yeah.
only this, it's nothing else. This is what I know.
And social media doesn't help with them, man. Like,
Yes, it
this happened again with Facebook, but even more recently with my IG, it was just the fucking same fucking four people, and like literally it showed me like the week's worth of shit, and I'm like, where the fuck is everyone else? That I follow thousands of people. How the fuck is there only four that I'm seeing here? And it was fucking mind boggling. So of course, how could you, if what's coming at you, you know what I'm saying, is dictated or directed by some kind of algorithm? So it's like we're defenseless in the essence, because we can't help it.
Yeah. And that's why, they call it an echo chamber. And that is one of the dangers of social media, is that, oh, I have an opinion. I'm a befriend people on social media who have my same opinion. Oh, you said something that I don't agree with, so I'm gonna block you or remove you from my friends list. And then every time, some bullshit comes up, oh, black people are monkeys, and all my little racist friends agree, so that must be the truth. You're living in the echo chamber. You're just following, it's confirmation bias. You're just only dealing with people who you agree with. And that's why, so social media helped me on the opposite end. And like me and Skips, we still joke about this, talk about this all the time. But the first argument we ever got into in our relationship, it was about gay marriage. When me and her first got together, something came up. It was some gay marriage bill that they were trying to pass. And I was like, marriage is between a man and a woman, because in the Bible, it was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I was arguing. She was like, why do you give a fuck about?
I never knew you to be like that,
bro?
Though, so.
Yes. So, and that's what I'm saying. So it was a lot of that, and then it was a lot of, she was like, why does it matter what like gay people are doing? Like, what does that have to do with you? It was like, well, no, they should, if gay people are going to get married, they need to give it a new name. Like, that's what I was on. Now, over the course of the past decade, and I attributed a lot to podcasts, and that's the reason why I got into podcasting, why I fucking love podcasting, is that and shouts out to one of the two early podcasts that I got on that kind of helped me kind of see things differently. And there's layers to this, but one was Joe Rogan. There's a lot of shit that Joe Rogan says that I don't agree with, but I like listening to the Joe Rogan show because
his guest.
he's what's up?
I said his guest. If it wasn't for the popularity in the guest, I wouldn't.
His guest is banging. His guest is banging. But a lot of it is that, so me and Joe, I don't agree with Joe on a lot of things, but Joe, whether he realizes it or not, he's very eloquent in his ideas. So even if I don't agree with it, I like how you explain it, so I can hear why you're thinking the way that you're thinking. And so then that way I can try to find a middle ground with you. Like, okay, like, I don't exactly agree with you, but I can see from your opinion why you would believe that. Okay, you know what? I'll agree to disagree. We'll leave it at that. And so that was one. And then the other one, earlier on in the days, was the Black Guy Who Tips. Shouts out to them. It was the same thing where the Black Guy Who Tips has a whole bunch of guests on their show, but it's not famous people. It's a whole bunch of different people in the world. And it was through the Black Guy Who Tips who, that's where my opinion on actually it's two things, but that's where my opinion first started changing on transgender people. Because I remember there was an episode that they had, and it was a woman who biological cisgender woman or whatever, and then there was another person on there.
Terminologies, man.
So being technically, scientific.
You got to though. You got to.
And then she was in a relationship with someone who appeared to be a woman, but she was transgender. She was female to male, where she was in a female body, but she, felt that she was a man. And so I remember the first time listening to that episode, I kept rolling my eyes and getting upset at some of the shit that she was saying, because I thought it was just complete and utter bullshit. And then I had to ask myself, why are you getting so upset? Why are you getting so upset about her saying something that has nothing to do with you? She's saying how she feels. Why are you getting so upset? So I ended up listening to the episode like 3 or 4 times. And after getting through it like the third or fourth time or whatever, I finally came to the conclusion, you know what? Maybe I don't know everything. And because like one of the things she talked about is how she grew up and she had a vagina and she always felt this like phantom penis. Like it always felt like she was missing something down there. And she felt as she got older and maybe when she went through puberty or something like that, that it was going to grow. And I remember thinking that was complete and utter bullshit. Then I had to put myself in the shoes. Well, you know, how am I going to tell her that that's not what she felt and what she's going through?
Right.
Because I am someone who, and I always use the transgender thing and I always equate it to synesthesia. I have synesthesia. I listen to music and I see colors and shapes. And you don't know how many fucking times I didn't got into an argument with someone who thinks I'm completely and utter full of shit. Like you're making that up.
Yeah.
How are you going to tell me what I'm experiencing? And so it was through that I was like, you know what? Maybe, and that's when I started to realize that maybe just because I didn't go through that doesn't mean that other people aren't going through that. Just like I have synesthesia, other people don't have synesthesia. And I can understand how if you don't have synesthesia, why that makes no sense to you. It makes sense to me. I get it. I get why that doesn't make sense to you. So,
and I didn't realize with synesthesia because someone from work had actually had something like. I know that look when you asking for a little something.
Can I get a little coffee?
Hook me up, mama, please. And no, some lady had talked about her synesthesia, and instead of it being shapes, apparently it's faces. Like people, there's levels. I didn't realize there's levels to synesthesia shit to where it's not just.
It's so many levels. We scientifically can't prove how. Like so, and that's the thing. There's so many different types of it, and then there's everyone experiences it different because even like someone who has the same type of synesthesia as me where you listen to music and you see colors and shapes, we're not going to see the same exact thing, and that's the reason why science can't really break this down. And then there was a book, I know it's up on my bookshelf over here, where it was called Taste the Universe or something like that, and they kind of went into like all the different types of synesthesia. Like there's an infinite amount of different types of synesthesias and just all kinds of shit. There was a guy who one of the ones that I couldn't imagine this, but as every color he sees, the different colors have different emotions. So like let's say, and I'm just being very vague, but let's say when you see the color red, it invokes anger. So every time and you have a red bill on your hat, if I had that type of synesthesia, I would have a hard time looking at your hat because every time I see that red, it's going to make me angry. Just like the color blue.
Bulls.
Yeah, just like the color blue. Every time you see the color blue, you would get upset. I would have a hard time looking at this website over here who has this banner, we're blue, because every time I see blue, I get sad. And he talked about how he can't go to like paint shops or anything like that and go down aisles where there's a whole bunch of colors because he's overwhelmed with emotion because he feels all those emotions as he's looking at the colors. And so that's the thing, like with synesthesia, it's an infinite amount of layers of it. So it's hard to kind of scientifically break it down. And then to kind of bring this back full circle, it's the same thing on the other end with the LGBT community and with transgender and all that. You have male to female, you have female to male, you have some people who are non-binary, you have some people who you have men who cross-dress. They're not transgender, they just cross-dress. They identify as men, but they like to dress as women. Like there's layers to it. And so, and that's why I kind of equate it to synesthesia. It's layers to it, and you can't really tell other people how they're supposed to feel just because you don't feel that way. And it's the same thing with fucking white people who are like, oh, racism doesn't exist because I'm never oppressed. And it's like, yeah, that's your experience. That's not everybody else's experience.
And that is part of the ignorance that, again, doesn't allow you to see beyond anything else. And when I did, I wonder what I called it, one of the soap opera sessions that I did, a dude who I was working with, he was a Irish white man, which again, you know, they referred. Did you ever get to listen to that one?
No, I remember we had a conversation about it though.
Yeah, and it just, you know, they can consider themselves the N-words of white people, but regardless, he just did not understand, could not compute the clear differences, all because we're technically on the same level job wise, and he's correlating that to, you know, the fact that, you know, God or the universe hasn't given him any more breaks than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I had a, I don't even know if I ever fucking sunk in because I just figured, fuck it, well, let's go full racist then because you're not gonna fucking understand the difference, and of course, the audience is gonna be able to picture and then graph. Okay, well, I would hope too when I get as ridiculous as I do get, it is not only for parody's sake, but to show you, look how asinine I'm being. People, there's gonna be people that are gonna fucking 100% support that very fucking notion, and we want those people to support that. We want them to be fucking loud and proud, and we should have a fucking pride parade for what I'm saying, even the most fucking misogynistic and homophobic, because that way we could put them on a little I don't know, parade of sorts, and to showcase, look, those are those people. They exist. They look just like everyone else. You wouldn't expect it, but yeah, I hope that doesn't get lost upon people. And
Message.
Yeah.
No, and I always argue that's the beauty of the show, is that this show, the Arizona Soul Podcast, once known as the I'm Black, He's Mexican podcast, it's a jarring. It's meant to be a jarring experience, and it's meant to be. There's because I would argue that the show isn't liberal, it's not conservative, it's not one label, it's a lot, because even with you have
Cue the
some.
21.
What's up?
I said just cue the 21. A lot. A lot. That's all I can fucking remember from that song. A lot. Cole had a good verse, but a lot. That's all I can fucking remember.
A lot. But so like you have some views that are conservative, and then you have some views that are out there, outlandish. I have some views that are liberal, and then I have some views that are progressive. Like there's not just one bubble way of thinking with everything. And actually shouts out to Blitz, who me and Blitz had a conversation, because me and Blitz work together. So after 88 years, we get to actually communicate with each other, because I'm trash. I don't get out the house. So we talk at work every so often, and he kind of talked about that. He was like, that's one of the things I like about the show is he was like, I listen to this show, Blackout Tips is one of them, where this show is super liberal, and then I can listen to you guys, and you guys have a completely different take on some of those things. And so it's that different way of thinking. It's expanding the knowledge or whatever. I think that's one of the things that this show brings to the table, is that we're not fucking cookie cutter. You can't just label us as this or that. We have a different way of thinking, and a lot of it might be because we're fucking Arizonians.
I was just about to say
we're cooked different, and it's just the world is different for us Arizonians.
I get shit. The wife gives me some shit because she comes from Midwest, from Chicago, and upon growing up, especially again, I've native boy, man, through and through. Never, even though whether I've visited, I've never fucking left, right? And but upon growing up, from listening to music and the influences that I had, for whatever reason, I always took myself to have, or I believed that I had like an East Coast state of mind, what I'm saying, or so, what I'm saying, I projected out, whether it be because state property was, what I'm saying, wasn't expensive at Burlington, or because Mos Def just happened to tickle my fancy as opposed to whatever the fuck everyone else was listening to. I've always had, and I get teased because apparently when I would do some of the solo shows, apparently my jaw started talking all crooked, and so I was trying to put on some kind of Brooklyn warm half ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know how that comes out. And again, and Mos Def definitely was probably one of my biggest influences coming up. Not so much the Black Star stuff, but just him on his own, because just it was all him. It was, I don't know, whatever. And I've always noticed me kind of falling back to that, and I can't explain why I would do that. And again, I'm definitely sure I have some kind of fucking schizophrenia that at least communicate with one another. You've seen Split, right? And how he has all these different personalities.
What you're talking about? Yeah.
Oh, definitely fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna fucking suck I'm a young Samalong's dick. You know what I'm saying? For too damn long.
What's the twist?
But yeah, there's always a twist, and I can give a fuck about those twists even though you wait for it. But the premise was this guy had these personalities, and there's a certain the way that he explained which personality was in charge was who was sitting in the seat, who was in front of the light
Mm.
being the heavens, or the light just being our souls through our eyes, and whoever's in charge at that time. How would you, and mind you, I don't know, I've never been labeled schizophrenic, and Lord knows that if someone would ever question me, I'm going to fucking lie about it, because we contain our mental illnesses to keep sanity, or to obviously not be put in a label, thrown into a padded walls, or Lord forbid not be able to work and pay your goddamn bills. You do what you got to do. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, all the fucking voices in my head, they communicate pretty well together, even though, one might talk out the ass a little bit more and get the other one in trouble. At least we all realize we're all in the same boat. Nigga, you my
Definitely.
accomplice, you my accomplice. You was with me too.
I, I think we're all I think all humans are a bit schizophrenic, and it's just a matter of how you control those. Because even like I heard people say the whole thing of, oh, I talk to myself, I just don't answer myself. Nigga, I answer myself too. I don't give a fuck. Like sometimes I'll say something, I'll be, oh man, that was a good point. Like, yeah, so
Fucking
well, it is what it is. But yeah, I think we're all a tad schizophrenic.
okay.
I know, and I'm uber distracted. So Skips came into the living room, and we got Amazon packages. I'm curious if any of those Amazon packages are mine. No, none are mine. So you got all the riches, and I got no riches.
Mm.
I got
Who be
some
bringing
Amazon pack.
home the bacon? Verse, are you trying to get misogynistic on the ass?
I completely have all the bacon right here. There's clearly bacon right here. So I did bring home the bacon, even though Skips may have cooked it. I did bring home the bacon.
Is that turkey bacon? Verse is a very important question.
Turkey bacon. That's all I fuck with, man. Turkey bacon is a hit. But no, for real, none of that's mine. I clearly think that box is mine because I'm expecting something today. Uh-oh. I see Skips. They all say Skips. Oh, no. I think I got a package. Is that mine?
He got the package.
I think I got the package.
Are we going to talk about R. Kelly later, speaking of which?
I don't even have any R. Kelly stuff.
Yo.
So.
You know he has another fucking sex tape out, right?
So, I did get my package. I'll go into this in a second. So I will first off say that that was not an R. Kelly sex tape. That was an R. Kelly rape tape. Oh. He's a rapist. Sex tape is between two consenting adults. That was rape. But yes, R. Kelly is trash, but I did hear about that. Now, one thing I will say, that I have a problem with, and it's unfortunately where we're at with fake news and certain things. So I heard part of the rape tape. They're saying on it, oh, there's some good 14-year-old pussy. I have a hard time believing that was said I have a very hard time believing that they said that on the video. It could be true. I have a hard time believing that, oh, we finally got the tape because they set the age on it. Like, sound like BS to me.
All right, so I'm a little confused because, in pornos and videos and such alike, usually part of it is, the fantasy, right? Wanting to create some kind of illusion, and whether or not people want to admit it, Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande, it's every fucking pedophile's dream. You know what I'm saying? You get someone that's of age, legally speaking, it's okay, but they're tiny and fucking petite, like just something that's very fucking wrong. I mean, I don't know. I would imagine it's the same reason why middle-aged men go off fucking college girls, because, you know what I'm saying, there ain't nothing small like it that can, I guess, be legally speaking appropriate. But at the same time, wouldn't you fucking think that especially because, man, I don't know how it happens. I don't know how he gathers these girls. I don't know how it works, but I imagine that it's all going to be porn-like. It's all going to be fucking fantasy-like. And, I'm pretty sure when they do like the sex bus, like most recently for every Super Bowl, there's always some kind of sex trafficking bus, because you know what I'm saying, where there's money, there's also pussy being sold and fucking rented and leased and then rewashed and recycled again.
All this business.
Money. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Cardi B's teaching all these hoes, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You got to sell what you got to do, because it's all about the money. If these niggas can't pay your rent, then they can't make you come. Might not do all both. But it, again, makes me worry. It makes me wonder if he was lost in that moment, and just like being the dumb fuck as he is, because he knows he paid top dollar for it. I'm assuming, I can imagine, you know what I'm saying, that line could have been thrown in there. You know what I'm saying? You're projecting whatever porn-like illusion that, porn does. And I don't know. But at the same time, that does sound like a fucking really whack so out there. You know what I'm saying? We need that technicality. We have it on a recording, kind of shit. But
Yeah,
I mean, it happened
I don't
after.
know. Even though R. Kelly is not intelligent, I have a hard time believing that he's that fucking stupid that with all the shit that's been going on for 20 years or whatever, y'all gonna say the age. And they said it was like, it was said repeatedly. I don't know. I hope that we finally get justice and R. Kelly, like, gets thrown in jail. Like I canceled that nigga a long time ago. I didn't need that documentary to cancel him. I've been not fucking with R. Kelly. But if that is the
Yeah,
case that they Fortino, but if he did fucking say that, I hope yeah.
yeah. I'm wondering this because I'm gonna pull up a R. Kelly song from his most recent album called "The Buffet." I have the deluxe version here in my hands. But I'm curious though, because one of the you're saying that it was repeated a bunch of times. I'm fucking wondering, could it be possible that there's a whole bunch of other motherfuckers trying to get on the train too, and of course R. Kelly, because he's the bread and the butter, he gets first dibs on everything. I'm wondering, could it actually be motherfuckers are taking their turn, like, oh yeah, this really is some good fortune, you know? Person like, oh yeah, yeah, what is it? What is the c word? I conclude, or what is it when you confirm? I don't know. I can't
I
think of the
know what you're
fucking
talking
word.
about, but yeah, good word.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
no, they might have did the whole what's the whole fucking DDLG community where they do the daddy daughter weird sets
Oh,
role playing. It could have been one of those. So if
yeah.
he gets off on technicality, I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. But either way, fuck R. Kelly and his rape tape. That nigga
Yo,
needs to go.
I wonder. So, look, because you're saying that he'd be smarter than to put it out there,
I would
obviously in the
hope. I would
You would
hope.
hope. You would hope, right? You would think he's a grown ass man. Motherfuckers in his 50s. You would think he'd have more fucking sense. Did he not create I Believe I Can Fly? You would think he had a little bit more sense. But at the same time, dude, in all of his songs, a lot of his songs, even fucking Bump and Grind, with the most notorious songs that, of them all, he's fucking saying, my mind is telling me no because I know this is motherfucking illegal, but my body is telling me yeah. Like you can't say he has been conflicted since the
I,
jump.
I, I just want to know, like, if he like beats the case again, if he's gonna come out and then he's gonna re-release Ignition, but drop like a remix 2.0. This the remix to Conviction, hot and fresh out the. I wonder if he's gonna do something like that. I'm
He
quite
should,
curious.
because you know what, I just like, unfortunately, people were downloading R. Kelly's music all over again when all this shit popped off in the documentary. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to contribute and add to the numbers, and I was playing remix to Ignition. The fucking kids love that goddamn song. It's
Yes,
a fucking banger.
and yo, and shouts out to the Boondocks who might be making a comeback, possibly. The Aaron McGruder guy released a new comic strip because it started off as a comic strip
Oh,
before it
what?
became a cartoon, and so he released a new comic strip just to kind of see if he still got it. And one of my favorite parts of the comic strip was he had it was the grandfather, and the grandfather was at home, and his radio, the music was playing or whatever, and Ignition came on, the remix to Ignition, and then he ran over there. He's like, oh man, he's like, I don't play none of that R. Kelly stuff over here. And he went and he changed the song, and then started playing Michael Jackson's Thriller, and he's like, oh, I can get down to this. And it was hilarious because it was like they're both rapists. But we're mad at R. Kelly now, not MJ. But
Because he's gone. He did it.
allegedly, it's all allegedly. But
And
anyway.
there's another documentary that came out from that shit. So again,
Yeah,
it's so
we'll
hard
see how that
for us
one
to try to
goes.
prove the truth really quickly. So one of my favorite songs, unfortunately, is the only song I kept from this album, is called Marching Band. So R. Kelly's The Buffet Deluxe version has a song called Marching Band featuring Sir Juicy J, and I'm gonna read to you a couple of suspect lyrics, and I might be
Mm.
wrong. You might need to fact check the meanings behind these shits. But the opening line, which is my favorite, he's like, "She like it on her chin like a violin." Anyways, that's just the part I like. But then it goes, "And she be dancing like a majorette." Now I don't remember correctly, but weren't majorettes little girls and like in the little gymnastics outfits that they would do like synchronized dancing?
Well, I'm gonna look that up.
If that is correct, this motherfucker's throwing out there that she dancing like a majorette, wetter than a river, and I'm diving in, splash. So it's fucking ridiculous that he has that fucking line in there. Because then later on, he then after talking about TKO and the pussy like Mayweather, he says, "Beat it like a drum. It sound like we had a jamboree." And when I think jamboree, isn't that where the little kids again? It's a little kid reference about fucking dancing and just doing musical numbers. So, mind you, isn't it ironic that there's two fucking references to little girl, little kid type events dancing? And obviously he's using it as sexual innuendo. And the motherfucking R. Kelly song, if that shit ain't a 360 fucking production or thought process, then I don't know what.
And the technical definition of a majorette is a baton twirler whose twirling performance is often accompanied by dance movement or gymnastics. They are primarily associated with marching bands during parades. Okay. And I do think they are typically
little ass girls.
I think it's fucking popular with the young girls or whatever. But no, and that's the whole thing that, like they said in the documentary, he's a monster. And typically what monsters do is they hide in plain sight. And that's how you can get away with shit, is you hide in plain sight. So wouldn't be surprised if that's what he meant.
God. Yeah.
Fuck our
But he made the Love Letter and #1 hit back in 2010. That was the last album I bought.
He made a step in the name of love.
Step. So, oh my goodness. And then the chocolate. Oh my goodness. Just you look at anything you see this motherfucker has done is ridiculous. Yeah, if that ain't a way to fucking end the episode, I don't know what. But
I don't know what it is. So
keep watching, man.
So cool. No, yeah, I was gonna say we can go into the actual show now. I do got to take a piss though real quick. I got my new mood. So, I've been on my pills. I got a bag full of vitamins that I fucking take now. Oh, and shit. I'm on my Alpha Brain, which is by Onnit. And then I just
have you really been buying that shit? It's expensive.
Yeah, I've been taking Alpha Brain for like 3 years now, and I've been taking it consistently for like a year now. Oh. So it is like $75 for 90 pills, which 90 pills is about 45 days. So I spend about $75 every 90 days. And then I'm trying their new stuff, New Mood, which is formulated to help mood and relaxation, daily stress support with 5-HTP and L-tryptophan. And I'm trying this for the first time. So, so that's why I was checking when Skips brought in the stuff. I wanted to see, did my shit come in?
Yo, I don't know how you can do that, fucking having them come in, because I got to like lock my shit up. I'm like in my little office area, even though I can fucking hear them pounding on the damn door. Like, I can't have them in front of me. That would just shake me off too much. And that's why sometimes the episodes won't get done. if shit like that pops off.
No, and that's the whole thing you saw when like the fucking show first started. I was having to stop because it was like Skips was in here doing something, and then Moms came in, was asking me stuff, and it's like doing a show. Yeah, I'm live. I'm live.
Are you in the living room though?
Yeah. Because with Mom staying here, that's in the my computer equipment was all in the office. But I moved all the computer stuff into the living room. And so that's the reason why, it's a different background, because the one where it's all the pictures and all that, that's in the office. Yeah. But, and actually it's funny because, this is my daily pill. Oh, wait. Yeah. That's how many pills I take.
That's a little buffet.
Yo, and that's, again, like we were talking about the health or whatever. This is part of the reason why I'm healthy again. I'm taking all kinds of calcium, magnesium, zinc, daily multivitamins, stuff for blood pressure, Alpha Brain, 5-HTP. I'm good. I'm Gucci now.
I need to do that, man. Apparently, I'm a real demon, if you can believe that or not. I get in trouble left, right, and center. Oh yeah.
If you didn't like this podcast, it's probably because you're racist.
Yeah.
Fuck your feelings, though.
Yeah. What's up, man? You hear me?